Hello, everybody, and welcome to Going Now's Town Hall discussion for November. We are live and on Facebook and on YouTube today. So if you've got any questions for us, please, this is your show, like I've always said. So please post them in the comments, and I will definitely do my best to grab them and ask them of our great group that we have joining us right here, right now. And I'm going to bring them all in and introduce each one of them to you, or they're going to actually introduce themselves to you. And we'll get started. So why don't we bring in Mr. Jim Nettles to start us off. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for inviting me again.
Yeah.
I haven't learned yet.
Tell everybody a bit about yourself, sir.
I'm Jim Nettles. I write urban fantasy, science fiction, a bit of horror, a few other things as James P. McDonald. I write nonfiction as myself. In terms of the writer's career or writer career, I've written a business book for writers, business essentials for writers. Have a company called Author Essentials. We do author services as well as author training, workshops, all sorts of fun stuff. And then the rest of my life is business and technology consulting, media consulting. We do a whole bunch of different things.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And also joining us, Miss A.F. Stewart and Anita Stewart. Hello, Anita.
Hi, I'm Anita Stewart. I'm an author. I write horror and dark fantasy. And I also have a sporadic podcast where I do book chats with authors, and I also do some author advice segments and try and tell people what to do, which is something I like to do, but and hopefully people get some information as well. So
nice. That's awesome. And then we also are joined by the one and only Courtney Cannon. Hello, Courtney.
Hi, guys. I'm Courtney Cannon. I write under CL Cannon. I'm a USA Today bestselling author, and I am the owner of Fiction Atlas Press. You might have saw me, if you're a fan of Going Now, on the Indie Connection every week. And I'm also on the monthly marketing tip for the flagship show.
Nice. Awesome. Welcome for being here. And thank you for being here. Welcome. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Bobby Nash.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm an author. I write a little bit of everything. I do a lot of thrillers, but I've also dabbled in some sci-fi, some fantasy, some horror, some pulpy adventures set in the past, things like that. So I bounce around a lot, but most of my stuff tends to be thrillers, things like detective cops and robbers chasing down killers. I like to kill people in my books. It's big fun and great therapy.
Nice. That is quite the intro. Thank you for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it. While we wait for people to join us and bring themselves in here and give us some questions to ask, I guess I'll be an audience member and I'll go ahead and ask a question of all of you and talk about so far your 2019. How's it going? How did you guys hit your target goals? What were some ups for you guys this year that you really enjoyed?
Well, I've actually figured out how to use Amazon ads, so that's a plus.
Nice.
Good job.
Yeah, I took a course and it actually made sense. So, yay!
Have those been helpful for you?
Yeah, actually, I've been getting steady sales for the book I've been advertising and collecting good data, which apparently I wasn't doing before, but I am now. So,
nice.
Well, one of the things that we've been doing with a couple of clients that partners really well is partnering your Facebook ads with the AMS ads, so that if you if you can bring them in from Facebook, that way they're seeing you there. And then when they get to Amazon, they see another ad there. That seems to work really well, but it's a matter of where do you want them to collect from?
Yeah, well, Facebook and I are currently at odds, but
Facebook's at odds with everybody. I mean,
yeah, well, they banned my website, so I'm kind of like, they're dead to me.
Hey, I just consider it an accomplishment. I haven't been in Facebook jail in months.
Well, I've never been in Facebook jail. They just decided to ban my website for some reason. I have no idea why.
Ban it? What do you mean ban it?
I mean, they won't allow me to share my website on the site, and they retroactively removed everything I had posted from it.
That is crazy.
I know, and I don't know why. They won't tell me. They won't review. That I've messaged them until I'm blue in the face. And
Well,
There's no one human there, though.
Yeah, you're Canadian, so it can't be a political thing.
yeah, well, as near as I can figure from the message I get when I try to share from my site is that someone reported it as abusive.
Oh.
So, who knows? I don't know what's going on there.
It might be a problem with the person who's hosting your website, like your
I'm on WordPress. It's a WordPress site.
Yeah, but you're actually a domain host, or whoever's actually hosting the site.
No, I'm on the free. I'm on the free WordPress.
Oh, okay.
I said Courtney knows a little bit about Facebook and troubles with Facebook.
Hey, now I've only been in jail like 4 times this year, so twice in the last month or so. They don't like you doing anything like community-wise. If you tag people in your own group, that want to be tagged, they just stick you right in jail.
Isn't it amazing how often we get in trouble for being social on social media?
Yeah. And they're like encouraging groups more now. And so you would think that they would let you do more in groups, but every time you do something now, they want to penalize you. But then some people don't get put in jail. I saw somebody tag like 200 people today, and they were fine. So I don't know. Maybe they just target some of us. Some of us are like misbehaving people that they have on their list or something.
I've been thrown out of better places than Facebook, so.
I honestly think having author, I think the word author does it, because I don't have trouble with my regular page, but my author Bobby Nash page, the one where they like, I have troubles out of it from time to time. So it's weird. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there is a difference. They do treat what they consider a business page differently from what they consider a quote unquote personal page too. I mean, it's not there's any real difference between them.
So how about for you, Bobby? How's your 2019 been so far?
It's okay. I've been a little behind. I fell behind actually in 2017 and 2018. So I've been playing catch up. So I'm almost there. So most of this year has been me being behind and working to get caught up. So it's not really where I'd like it to be. Some things I tried in 2019 worked, some didn't. But I'm in the process now of trying to plan 2020 using the data I've collected over the last couple of years for events I've done or launch strategies, things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me in terms of this year as letdowns was doing I do a lot of conventions and events, and I've had it's not been a great year in terms of me at least even just covering the costs of doing those. So I'm starting to think that maybe my audience, that's not quite the audience I'm aiming for with most of my work. So
that's interesting. Have you planned 2020 out already to kind of combat that a little bit?
A little bit. No, I don't have the full year planned yet, but certainly the first half, as opposed to doing some of the comic or sci-fi cons that I've done in the past. I'm replacing them in 2020 with doing some more literary stuff or doing more one-day book fairs or book events to see if that makes a difference. I'm also, since in the last year or two, I've also started writing more thrillers and crime stuff. I'm going to add more like crime events. I shot out some emails today to a few conventions in 2020 that deal with that mystery thriller crime genres, and so I'm gonna see if that may be a good way to get my work in front of an audience.
Wow, that's cool, awesome.
Yeah, I may need to bug.
Fingers crossed.
I may need to bug you and see which ones you're doing, because if the Techno Thriller series comes out, that'll be that's one of the audiences I'm looking at too.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I spent a couple hours today just searching, in my area. I don't quite have the budget to like travel to other countries or spend as much time on the West Coast as I'd like, but within a, fairly easy drive as opposed to fly. And I found several up the East Coast. I live in Georgia, so, anything up, up the East Coast or Alabama and Mississippi in that area is generally pretty good for me.
For somebody who's remote like Anita, how's your 2019 been?
Well, actually, I went to my first convention as a presenter.
Nice.
We have a big one in Halifax called HalCon. I also got a photo with Mark Pellegrino, which I'm
Awesome.
yeah. And an autographed book from a guy, Gabriel Kay, who's a Canadian author I'm fond of. So yeah, it was a good day all around there. But yeah, I did my it was a writing workshop we did. I did it with a local writers group I belong to. So that was a lot of fun, and it was a good experience. So
awesome. How about for you, Courtney? How's your 2019 been?
It's been very busy. I got a lot of stuff accomplished as far as career-wise because of the box set that I was in allowed me to get USA Today, but I didn't get as much writing done as I would like to have gotten done, but I helped a lot of authors this year with the different author services and stuff that I provide. I've got to know a bunch of really great authors who have become more than clients, just become more like friends. And so I'm kind of looking forward to next year about putting some more writing out. I've actually taken a vacation for the first time pretty much since I started Fiction Atlas. I'm doing it's like a semi-vacation. I'm still doing builders and things like that, but I'm not doing as many client works right now for November and December. So I'm hoping to get some more writing time in and more time for me to just kind of relax for a bit.
Nice. Yeah, you do a lot. There's a lot of stuff. So we have a question here from Rebecca Jonesy, and she asked, "Is it worth it to try and get on panels at Compton?"
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean So, both Bobby and I do a lot of conventions. We're a lot of the time the same ones. If you are just sitting in the booth or just trying to sell books and whatnot, there's nothing there necessarily that's going to make you stand out. If you're on a panel, if you're sitting there in front of people, it gives people a better idea of who you are, what do you write, what do you do, but it also lets people figure out who you are. Because, it's like anything else. If somebody's coming and looking for a book that they're going to spend hours with and a fair amount of time with, and especially if they're going to get an author that they want to get tangled up in their series and their universe, you're spending a lot of time in somebody else's head. It's also the old business adage of, I want to spend money with people I like and can relate to. So, getting on panels and being there and being able to contribute and have fun also puts you in front of an audience that is probably going to come back and stop and talk to you, or at least you've got a lot better shot at them coming back to stop and talk to you, instead of just, oh, hey, another author sitting at the table and whatnot. So, I can't tell you the number of people and the number of times I've actually sold books just walking out of the panel. But that's not the only reason I do them. I enjoy doing panels and going and talking and running my mouth and getting in trouble. But it's a great way to actually introduce yourself to people en masse that you're not going to be able to do one-on-one.
I signed my first autograph this year after doing a panel. It was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, but I absolutely agree with Jim, though. Doing panels it's also a great icebreaker for the author and the people in the audience, because sometimes people come by the table and they don't know how to talk to you. They're just there looking and they don't know how to start the conversation. Coming up to someone's table and going, man, I really enjoyed that panel. You've got something to talk about. You've got an icebreaker. And plus, if they liked you on the panel, they may be more inclined to come out and be more have an interest in your books, whether they might not have before. Because sometimes, we're selling we're as much a part of our brand as our books are. And so I think having the panels opens that up for the readers. But there's also the great thing of getting to know other creators. I've made a lot of friends over the years from people I've met at conventions, and getting to sit on that panel and talk with your peers, kind of like what we're doing here, is very exciting to me. And I've, like I said, I've made a lot of great friends doing that.
Yeah, we met at Dragon Con.
That's right. Yeah.
Courtney, have you done a lot of panels?
I haven't done any panels. I've only done one convention, actually, because there's just not much around here and I can't travel very far. But I wanted to say, even digital panels, being able to get on things like this show and things like that, when you get in front of, like they were saying, when you get in front of people and start giving advice or start showing your personality, that's how you gain people who become lifelong fans. Because I know when I first started watching Go Indie Now, it was like Andy Peliquin and Joshua Robertson and all these people. I would have never found them if it wasn't for watching them on this panel, and now I've become lifelong fans of them. Same with Derek Murphy on some other panels that I've seen. So it's not just cons in person, but anything that gets you out there in front of an audience and that showcases your personality is a great way to reach people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the video panels have helped me immensely. I mean, before I started doing video panels, I wouldn't have gotten in front of a live audience at all. But the video panels were so easy for me to do. I think they built my confidence up. So, I've done a book signing now. I've done the workshop, and I barely had any nerves doing it. So it's been
Awesome. So I have kind of a follow-up to that question to kind of keep on this trend here from Rebecca as well. And she says, how much non-book products merch do you guys try to sell at Comic-Cons and panels and such like that? Do you guys bring a lot of that with you, or is that, I mean, I know I've seen Bobby's booth. It's expensive, but yeah, is that something that you guys concentrate on, or is it kind of fodder, or like with cherries to the sundae kind of thing?
It's just something extra. It's something there. Sometimes having those cheaper items are good for those people that they want a book, but man, they just don't have the money for a book on the last day of the con, but they want to get something signed. So you have a few odds and ends laying around. I've done pint glasses and shot glasses. Those are always, the shot glasses were very popular, especially at the party cons, very popular. And, things like I've done playing cards and little things like that. Just stuff that I can do that's not expensive for me to prepare and bring, and also not expensive for people that might be interested in them. But first and foremost, I'm showcasing the books more than anything else. But the other stuff is just, like you said, it's a little extra.
Yeah, and for the most part, we've done some small stuff before, but from an author side. But for Author Essentials, because we're doing the workshops and everything else, we're now getting more into doing some physical products as well, both for authors and for small publishers. And we're going to probably start carrying more of that sort of stuff in for conventions, at least for some of the bigger ones. And so it's going to be kind of a split. But for me, just as an author, occasionally I'll bring like some glass work, because I also blow glass and do some glass work, and I'll bring some small pieces like that, because if nothing else, it's shiny. And it's really fun to play with and make different things. Started doing electroforming this year. So I'm doing the carving and the electroforming, which lets you play with and make really cool pieces. And it's just another reason for people to come by and chat. And take a look at the books and take a look at the art and those things. But the other question becomes, are you on potentially an author's alley versus a dealer room, and what are the particular parameters? Also, the convention you're at sometimes will determine what you can and can't take.
That's a great point, because there are some places that only allow you to sell books, and because they don't want it to be flooded with a bunch of crap, or not crap, but
well, there's also too. It's a lot of times when you go to a convention, until you get there, you don't know how big your table's going to be.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to be a thin table, a skinny table, 6 foot, 8 foot, 4 foot, tablecloth, no tablecloth, against the wall, in the middle of the room. You have no idea. So you come prepared, and then, for a big table, and you get there and go, okay, these things can stay in the box. And so you prepare that way, because you just don't always know.
Now, for somebody like you, Courtney, that doesn't attend like cons and things like that, or sell there, how do you get your non-product off? What are your strategies? What are some of the things that you do? And is it something that is essential to your work environment?
Well, I haven't done a whole bunch of merchandising yet, but I do have a lot of plans for things. Like I've already have bookmarks, but I'd like to get some stickers. So I've actually got an artist right now who's drawing some little, I guess, kind of like chibi figures that are my characters. I'm going to have them put off on stickers, and maybe even some buttons and things like that. And I have found a lot of success just selling different things like that online, on my website. There are some great groups on Facebook that are buy, sell, trade. And they're specifically for books, like Alcrate and things like that. You can actually sell some of your stuff in places like that if they'll allow it. So I just kind of try to go online wherever the readers are, because I just myself am a very online kind of purchasing person. I'm an introvert. I don't like to go places and see people very much. I mean, I like to talk to people, but I like my own space. And so for me, I'd love being able to go online and shop for things like that. And I've seen a lot of authors, especially some of my clients, who have done some bookmarks, and some people even made their own candy. And I help them market that and put them in giveaways and different things. And it's just like a cute little way to remind people of your books or your series. And a lot of it's pretty cheap to make. So I have plans for that.
Yeah, I have my own online store over on Redbubble, as you can see from the mug. Cheap, shameless product placement there. That so I upload the designs.
I'll sponsor you for one night.
Yeah, I upload my designs that I create from my books and stuff onto the Redbubble store. I haven't really started promoting or marketing it strongly yet, because I'm still sort of working on the designs and getting everything the way I want. But I will be next year. That's one of the goals for next year, is to promote the online store a little more, because I've got a couple of things on there that part of the proceeds will be going one will be going to charity, and the other proceeds will be going to the Brain to Books cyber convention.
Awesome.
Once that starts in April, so. Yeah, I'm going to be promoting that next year.
Awesome. I'm curious on a follow-up from, we'll say from Joe Compton has a question. But a follow-up that I'm curious about in terms of the merchandise thing, how often does it translate into sales of what you really want to sell your books? Has it helped that, or is it just another thing to sell?
Most of my experiences has been that it's people that have already bought a book have bought something else, have bought the merchandise to go with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my Thunder Penguin design has kind of helped the story. I mean, the story's not technically out yet because it's coming out in the Christmas Lights 9 anthology, but I was promoting the Thunder Penguin design and showing it off in my group, and it's kind of generated a little interest in the story, because everyone was saying, oh, that's such an interesting design, not to mention the Thunder Penguin name. But so yeah, it's kind of been back and forth with that one.
Yeah, For me, I mean, like I say, it depends on what it is, because if it's the workshops, when we're selling workshops and some of those sorts of things, it's a tie-in to everything else. I mean, we're there trying to provide services and but if it's, maybe a piece of glass work or, something like that, it's not necessarily a tie-in. Now, for me, what does help my book sales is I do write a lot of novellas. I'll get those to print. They're, usually $5 a piece, $6 a piece. And so that's easy and quick and affordable. But the other nice thing of those is how frequently, because it's quick and easy buy for somebody to get, if they pick that up, they can start reading it in a panel or waiting for a panel to start. A lot of the time people then will come back and buy more of my books because they're like, okay, yeah, we like this. This was fun. Because it's an easy investment to make to figure out if you like an author you don't know or not.
Yeah, you have a Thunder Penguin fan over here, and Rebecca there.
Yeah.
That's a cool name, by the way. I do love that.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
Thunder Penguin, but every time I hear it, I keep wanting to see Thor,
Actually, if you go and see the design, you have the penguin with the lightning bolt. I wish I brought the cup instead of this one now. But no, that's the thing. The Thunder Penguin originally wasn't in the story. It came about from one of those silly Facebook quizzes, right?
Mhm.
And I just posted it in the group, and everyone was saying, I really should make a character. And then Amy, who's in my group, but who's also the editor for the Christmas Lights series anthologies, she suggested that I add it to the story, and then the idea just popped off in my brain, and the Thunder Penguin was born.
That's awesome. All right, so another question we have from the audience is from Mandy Melanson, and she wants to know, what marketing trends do you have your eye on for 2020, and which client trends do you expect to fall to the wayside? Or what current trends, not client trends, do you expect to fall to the wayside?
Well, looking at digital, there's a couple of things that we've seen change in 2019. People's trust in Facebook slipped some, which of course means their trust in Instagram has slipped some. Depending, and like I say, for nonfiction, LinkedIn does a lot of good for me, but not necessarily, but doesn't do a whole lot for me for fiction. The thing that kind of has surprised me is we've been playing with ads on Reddit and with Pinterest, and just starting to build the Pinterest assets and things like that again. And this is one of those physician heal thyself, because spending all the time on client stuff and not my own. But it's one of those things, especially for like children's books or things that are very image driven, or even ones that aren't, for if you're writing fiction and you're putting, say, pictures of the inspiration or pictures of the scenes and the settings and things like that on Pinterest, and then letting that people link through to your website, letting it link through to even Amazon, is one of those things that we've seen be very productive. And it's fun as well, because that's one of those things that really lets readers get more into your head as to how you're doing things. If you build a Pinterest board for a particular book, so you can see, oh, here's what this scene really looked like, the one I used for an inspiration when I described this arch that fell down on the bad guy's head, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's really what we're going to see is more and more of those tools pop up. And I think the other thing is, like we're doing here right now, is doing more Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives and doing more storytelling so that people can hear the author's story and the author's voice. That's why we started doing Books and Beer and recording those and having fun with that, which Bobby's done with us. It's to me, it is about how do we as authors connect with readers. I think that's really the key.
Pinterest is that little engine that could, huh? It just keeps on chucking up the hill. Every once in a while, it gets a little momentum and pushes forward. It's very interesting. It never goes away, though. It's very cool. It's one of those ones that just always is around.
Well, it's the number 3 search engine, especially after the tie into Google.
Yeah.
I like, James mentioned like Books and Beer event. I'm noticing as kind of a part of the grassroots thing, is I'm noticing more and more places that are not necessarily, you wouldn't think as being a book place, that are getting into wanting authors to come in and do events. I've done similar things to the books and beers. I've done them at restaurants. I've done them in tiny bookstores, different places like that that are having these monthly events where they come in for one night, and you do, usually it's on like a Tuesday or a Thursday, a night the restaurant or the bar is not super busy. You come in, you bring in 3 or 4 readers. We do our presentations and our Q&A and sell a handful of books at each one. It's not a huge seller, but it's connecting us to people who may never walk into a bookstore, or who may never get on Facebook and find my page, or things like that. So it's helping to reach that audience. And so I'm finding more and more of those are popping up around my area, and I can, for a little money that goes into it, because it's easy travel. I don't have to do a hotel, things like that. It's less money on my side to do the promotion, to get out to these things. So I'm finding more bang for my buck in these one-day events or 3 or 4 hour events.
Nice. How about for you, Courtney? What are you seeing out there? What are you interested in?
I think blog tours are pretty much becoming dead. Bloggers and what's not completely dying, but a lot of it's transferring more to Facebook blogs and Facebook pages and groups and things like that. And I think blogger websites are kind of on the downtrend. One thing I think is going to be, well, actually 2 or 3 things I think are going to be great next year and that more people are going to discover. Story Origin is doing some great things for authors. They keep adding all kinds of different group giveaways. They have ways to get reviews. They have a bunch of different tools, newsletter campaign management, and Evan just keeps innovating that site, and I think it's only going to get better. And then there's another site that I've been using a lot called BookBrush, and it's like probably one of the best graphic design things out there. I personally think it's better than Canva because it's actually focused on books and authors selling their books, and especially the indie authors who might not know how to generate their own 3D covers, or who might not know, how to get their ad sizes and things like that correct. It makes that really easy, and they're adding new features to that every day. So I think those are 2 things that are more people are going to discover, and it's going to make marketing easier next year.
Yeah, I agree with Courtney about the blogs. They're definitely down because, I run a book blog, and I've seen fewer and fewer authors contacting me to have spotlights or interviews or whatever. And I also agree about Story Origin because it's just great. And it actually is helping me with what I want to focus on, which is the audiobook market. Because their new audiobook review is it's just fantastic. I've gotten 20 requests in the last week for audiobook reviews, and 2 or 3 reviews out of it already. So yeah, I'm all for Story Origin.
Nice. We have a follow-up question kind of in this vein, and it's again from Rebecca. She asked, do you guys think reader magnet sites like BookFunnel and Booksprout are still worth it?
I think you kind of have to be careful with sites like BookFunnel, where you're giving away your book for free to so many readers. I think if you can limit it to people that are more interested in more than just signing up to get that free book, then it would be better. I just don't really like BookFunnel for that reason, because it attracts a lot of freebie seekers, especially to your newsletter, and that's not who you want in your newsletter. You want people in your newsletter who are engaged with you and who are going to be interested in buying your books and not getting books for free. I do like their giveaway options where you can put your book in a group giveaway. That's a good thing. Booksprout I do like because it's a great way to get some reviews, early reviews, or reviews even after you've published. I'm actually using it right now for my new anthology. So I think Booksprout still has a lot of good merits, but BookFunnel I'm not as pleased with.
Well, and I think you're exactly right, because one of the big problems is that everybody's gotten used to get the free book, get the free taste. And one of the things that happens is, you know, how many of those books did you pick up when they were free on Amazon or whatever the case may be that you still haven't read?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't do any good to push that book out there if somebody's not going to read it, if they're not going to tell people about it, if they're not leaving reviews. And I mean, this, to me, this is also kind of the curse of the 99-cent book, because that's almost the new free, because authors don't make anything off of the 99-cent book. And again, you don't necessarily see people reading those as much as the ones that they paid $4.99 for, or $2.99 even. So I mean, free books. I mean, the people that consume a ton of books are going to consume a ton of books. And I mean, like I say, to me, it's a really hard balance anymore between what you give away to try to help generate traffic and bring awareness to the fact that you're writing. If you've got a big back catalog or a series, I think it still can be worthwhile, but it's not as, it's nowhere near what it used to be.
Yeah, I revamped one of my older books for a reader magnet, and I'm using it on Story Origin for newsletter signups, and it's working a lot better there than the freebies I was offering over in Prolific Works, which I kind of stepped away from a little bit. And BookFunnel, well, honestly, I don't use it except for ARCs. And so, yeah, I'm pretty much put all my eggs into Story Origin because their services are so much better than anyone else.
I think, except for maybe if you're looking at NetGalley or something like that, because
even though Story Origin's doing review copies like NetGalley now, so
yeah.
I mean, I can do pretty much everything I need out of that site, because I mean, they have newsletter swaps, they have reviews, both audio and ebook. They have reader magnets for the newsletter, and they have direct downloads if you want to give away ARCs or whatever. So it's kind of made everything, because I mean, I was over in Prolific Works, I was over in BookFunnel, I was doing this and that and everything, and I just sort of consolidated everything into that one site.
Yeah, I do think that they seem to be doing a good job of pulling everything into one place and one service. And
it's working a lot better than the other sites were working for me too, which is why I like it.
So we have a follow up to this in some respects. Something that you mentioned, Jim, about Instagram, and this comes from Andy Melanson again. She wants to know: do you think Bookstagram is to blame for the decline in traffic in book blogs?
I just think it's changing demographics and the technologies have changed. So Facebook, Instagram, these other platforms are rewarding video and video presentation, and they want to see people talking and moving and doing everything else. And I think part of it is just a matter of, tastes and platforms change. This one moves, this one doesn't. And you know, we see platforms come and go every day, and there's just a handful of big providers that are running a lot of money through. And, you know, we know that Facebook, Instagram, all these guys are doing all of that because it generates ad revenue. They're building profiles on people so that they can do targeted marketing. For us as authors and for us as sellers, that's really good data to have, to know, how do I reach that potential reader if I know what that reader avatar is. And I think this is the reason we see some other platforms really kind of fall down and fail, is because they don't understand the users on their platform as well, and they don't give them what they want except for short bursts. They don't change.
What do you guys think about the Bookstagram idea?
I think Bookstagram works for certain genres better than it works for I don't know, like I don't see many horror books on Bookstagram. I think it tends to be really geared towards fantasy and especially YA. Which is good for me because that's what I write. But I don't think like certain genres don't do as well on there. And I think that also has to do probably with what age group those are. Because I think not always, but different things like, and I think thriller is more of a 30s to 40s sort of age group, like, not everybody, but average. And more people in that age group are still on Facebook and haven't figured out Instagram. It took me a long time just to get myself on Instagram. I didn't understand it. I'm 33, and I was just like, okay, you post pictures and you can't put any links on it. So how is that going to help me in my business? But it took a while to get me on there. But once I did, I started really loving it. And I think there's lots of different strategies that you can use to make Bookstagram work for you. There's the pretty pictures that you can do. You can try trying to kind of do more live videos and the Instagram stories, and those seem to work very well. If you know how to put your links in the description and use things like what's it called?
Keywords.
Your hashtags.
Your
You can have up to 30 hashtags, and some people don't even put like 2 or 3. So you need to utilize all your hashtags. It's something that's a lot harder to crack than Facebook is, where you just kind of throw your content up there and people either see it or they don't. Instagram is a lot more complicated for people, I think. And that's why, especially like when I do builders and stuff for other authors, they're like, well, how come this person and this builder did better and they got more followers on Instagram than this person? And it all comes down to what are you posting and how often are you posting, and are you doing any live videos and things like that? Because if somebody's just posting something like a book cover and it's the same, will you buy my book, will you buy my book, every other Instagram post, then they're not going to get as many followers, because Instagram followers are really fickle, I want to say, because it's so easy to unfollow someone. People on Facebook, they just like the Facebook page, and most of the time they'll just leave it. And if they don't interact with that page, they won't see it again. And they forget that they've liked it. On Instagram, a lot of times, if you see something you don't like, you just unfollow the person. And so people don't stick on Instagram as far as users following you as easily as they do on Facebook. So I think that kind of makes it more complicated. And I'll stop battling.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I find the challenge of Instagram when I do talk about my books, I don't want to, like, if I'm talking about, even if I'm not like doing a buy this thing, but I'm just talking about the book or talking about what went into creating it or anything to just get interest in it, I don't want to keep throwing up the same book cover, because people will just not read it because, oh, I've seen that book cover, I know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So it's coming up with different images. I've created ads, or I've done excerpts with an image, or like Jim mentioned earlier with the Pinterest board. You put images that are like this. Here was the inspiration for the location that happens at the end of the book, or so you have to come up with different ways of getting the information across. Yeah, because if you just like she just said, Courtney just said, if you just put up your book cover over and over and over again, people will ignore you.
And I think the other thing is to remember, Instagram is all about creating the personal connection. I mean, most of the stuff I post, I don't post that much stuff that is buy my book, because that bores me. If it bores me, it's going to bore anybody else. Most of what I put out there is, hey, this is the convention I'm at this weekend. These are the people I'm with. This is the cool stuff I see. This is what's going on. Or like last night, we were doing a workshop for people that were interested in writing a book. What do I post? I posted the menu from the bar, because they had a beer that they had manufactured, or that they had brewed, that the basis of it was they had used 50 pounds of heavily glazed donuts from a local donut shop. And I'm like, this is the beer that Homer Simpson is going to kill for. And it's going to kill him too. But it's stuff like that that's like, okay, this is the stuff that I like, I'm interested in, I have fun with. And occasionally it's like, oh, by the way, here's book stuff. Here's the new book I'm releasing. Here's talking about it. Here's maybe doing a little reading from it. But it's, one of the metrics that I saw is 80% on Instagram follow businesses and brands, as well as other people. And one of the things that can be hard for us as an author to do is to remember and think of ourselves not only as a writer, not only as a person, not only as a creator. We're a business and a brand. So, how do we want to identify ourselves? Because, I'm out. I'm doing all sorts of stupid things most of the time, and it's amazing. I get books out the door sometimes because of the number of conventions and things I do. But at the same time, at least I want to share some of that experience and the fun I'm having and the people I get to meet and the things I get to do. I think that's almost more interesting sometimes than the stuff I'm writing. Buy my books.
Yeah, I like the events that they have sometimes on Instagram. Like I did in October, I did the writer's version of Inktober, where you post a 50-word story for each day in October. That was fun. And I got a lot of comments and likes off of that one. So, yeah, I do those sometimes. And I do a lot of my graphics over there as well. So. But my Instagram's kind of hit and miss.
I find also it's good for, I guess pre-promotion is the best way to say it. But while I'm writing a particular book, I will share tidbits about it or about my writing day, because there are a lot of other writers that follow me. Or I found too that readers are kind of interested in that behind the scenes kind of look of how things go. And so I can talk about, I ran into this problem today, or, my God, research sucks, or whatever. And people, when I see them, they'll come up to me at conventions and go, how's that book going? And because they're paying more attention to it, because I'm not trying to sell them anything. But by the time the book comes out, it's in their brain that, oh yeah, I've been following this, I really should read it. So stuff like that works as well.
Keeping it subliminal, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, and I think like it's personal. It's not like they don't feel like it's a conversation as opposed to a sales pitch. And I think most people respond better to just talking to people as opposed to if they know every time they see something from me, it's going to be going like, here, buy this, or they feel like they're at a used car lot and somebody's trying to huckster them. I don't want my audience to feel that way. So I try to find different things to break up the monotony of the, hey, I've got a book out post, and then it also includes things like, reviewing other people's books, sharing that information, on, not only do I put it on Amazon or wherever, I put it on my social media, same with movies or whatever. If I review those, it's just something that breaks up that the selling and makes people kind of follow you as the creator or as the brand or whatever. And so I find a lot of good success with that, like breaking it up amongst the other things.
Nice. So another question we have is from Adam Johnson, and he wants to know, we're talking about multiple products. In your opinions, how important is it to develop multiple revenue streams built onto or from your platforms?
Well, that depends. Do you want to make a living?
All right.
Well, you also have to realize too, these days your audience is in multiple places. You have some people that read ebooks only. You have some people that the idea of reading anything electronic is just like foreign to them. They want the paper book. You've got people that only read hardcovers. You've got people that are, I don't have time to read, but I'll listen to audiobooks all day. So you can have revenue streams from each of those if you want. You just have to determine, is it worth the effort for you to put in for those things? And if the answer is yes, then you put the book out in as many formats as you can, because where the readers are, but that's something we all have to kind of take into account ourselves, based on our sales history and knowing our audiences.
Now, along those lines, I'll flip a question here a little bit and add on to it, because I know all of you do other things for authors other than for yourself, is that a viable thing that you should be looking at? If you're an author who has a certain amount of books, offering your services for certain things, is that a viable revenue stream? Is that somewhere that you think you can also add to your portfolio and make a good living at?
That pays my bills, so that's my whole job. I get to stay home and be with my kids, and I get to meet all these cool authors, and I've developed my business now where I can work with not whoever I want to, but with authors in the genres that I want to. And I think, especially if you are skilled at either graphic design or if you are someone who is a quick learner, I'm actually teaching my sister right now. She's not a technological person. She doesn't know hardly anything about technology. She's someone who doesn't talk to people that often. She's a worse introvert than me. She won't order pizza, but I've got her a author service business, and she's doing really well because she's a quick learner. So if you are willing to learn some skills, if you can go on YouTube or if you can get a mentor or something, it's definitely something that an author can look into. To first of all, you can use some of these skills to lower your costs for when you're actually developing your own book. But you can also say you have a Mac and you know how to use Vellum. You can start formatting for other people. That pays for your Mac, and that pays for any books that you're going to be formatting. You'll be able to format them. It pays for the Vellum service, and then you start making money. There's also all kinds of different skill sets that you could acquire that can give you some extra revenue stream, and then it can also help you in your author business and cut down your costs, because we all know how hard it is as a self-published author, how many costs are in there, so you can actually make some money back on your books instead of just spending. So I think it is very viable.
Yeah, develop your skills, definitely, even if you just use them for yourself. I mean, I developed my graphic skills. I do my own covers. I developed how to use InDesign, and now to do formatting for my print books, and bless YouTube, because it's the one thing that taught me everything. So yeah, I mean, you can find almost anything you need to know on YouTube to learn these skills.
You seriously can.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, and that's actually part of the reason we founded Author Essentials the way we did, is because knowing the number of people that I do, and that we're all networked together and people that have skills, which is why we now have a stable of editors and graphic artists and cover designers. We're getting ready to start adding in some voice artists or voice actors and some of these other connections. It's not as much about making revenue through the business as it is creating a place that people can come get services. My primary goal is actually teaching people how to use writing to create a living. And one of the things I write about frequently is use your other skills, those things that you went and taught yourself as an author, whether that is you had skills as a graphic artist and you can do these amazing covers. If you can't do amazing covers, you shouldn't be doing covers. You should be paying somebody to do that for you. You can't self-edit. You've got to have editors to help you. But if you're also a good editor, that's valuable skills for other writers. And it's creating that network of people, because when we as authors work together and network together, do things like this together, it lifts up the entire industry, and it also makes all of us create better product. It makes all of us do a better job. And so if you've got those good skills that contribute to the industry, absolutely. That's one of those things that, whether it's you're paying people to do it, it's you're swapping off, you're doing bartering services, whatever the case may be. Absolutely. I mean, you've got to use the skills and the tools you've got to generate the revenues. You are a business.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's and outside of the business as well. I mean, there's other things that we can all do to work together to help, or like someone does an interview with you and you had a good experience. Let your author friends know that this place is looking for people to interview. I talk to people all the time that are asking me, it's like, how do you get these interviews? And so I'm like, here, go talk to these people. And that's not information I need to hold on to. It's sharing it does nothing, but help other people, and that, the same as, leaving reviews of other people's work, or, I've seen the barter system work. An artist needs something written, so a writer will write it for him in exchange for a cover art. Things like that can work. You can, we can all work together in things like that to help each other out. And I think that's wonderful when it happens. And I see it happen a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're free to tell anybody you want to come and see me and be on my show.
Absolutely.
So to wrap things up, guys, this is a great question to wrap things up with. Mr. J. Estrada asks, how many books are too many books to have at an event? Is there such a thing? Is such a thing possible? And I'd love to hear from each of you your 2020 resolutions for your business and your writing. What are some of the things you're going to do?
Well, first, let me say, hey, JD. So I know JD. So it's one of those things. If I have a new book and I'm going to be at a convention, it's the first time I'm having that book there, I'll bring a little extra than normal. For the most part, I just bring 4 or 5 of each. Now, that said, if you've seen my table, there's a lot of different titles on the table. So it would get very heavy to carry, 20 of everything. So I try to a lot of times I play it by ear. After a while, there are certain things you phase out and just stop carrying to conventions. They're still on sale. You still let people know they can buy them at Amazon or whatever. But as new books come out, that kind of takes over the focus of your table. And so, yeah, depending on the size of the con, 4 to 5, 4 to 6 is a pretty good number, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've got the tubs I carry, and a lot of the time, depending on what's going on, I'll carry extras in the car. But yeah, I mean, if it's a large convention, obviously, if you're showing up at Dragon Con, or you're showing up at even a Con Carolinas, you're going to want a bigger set of inventory. If you're coming to like a Tomicon, like I'm doing here in a couple of weeks, a handful of copies of each is going to be more than enough. But I also carry bookmarks and cards and other stuff to make sure that people can get to them. But you've got to look at the size of the convention you're going to. How long's the book been out? Is it still a good seller for you? I've got one that's been out for 4 years that I still sell more of that than anything else. And I just ordered 100 more copies. I'm carrying 50 of them out this weekend for Time Travelers Weekend here for Renfest. And probably will sell all of them. So you got to look at what the title is, what the cost is, and how heavy is it, because
All right, so let's do this. Let's have. I'll start with Anita. Tell us something in 2020 that you're going to accomplish.
I am going to publish my series in rapid release, hopefully. But that's the plan. I have a plan for the series. I'm just about finished the first draft of book 2. I'm got the series on track. I'm going to edit the first 2 books, hopefully write the 3rd book first of the year, and then get the publishing date set for books 1 and 2, and get the 3rd book edited. Hopefully get them all 3 books out next year, and with the 4th one coming out early in 2021. So that's the plan. Whether it works or not is another story, but that's the plan.
Nice. How about for you, Mr. Nash? What are you planning on 2020 that we should look forward to?
Getting caught up is goal number 1. I'm still a little behind schedule, but I'm getting there. Once that happens in 2020, I'm doing 4 novellas for Falstaff books that would probably come out in fairly rapid release. Plus my Snow series, it's a series of novellas that I release a few a year. That would get back on track as well. Plus a few things I owe other publishers. So getting all that done, getting back on track, stop pulling my hair out, things like that would be nice. A bonus goal would be to take a nice vacation in 2020. It's been too long.
Nice.
It's been too long since I've seen a beach. So yeah.
That's awesome. How about for you, Courtney? What are we going to expect from Fiction Atlas Press in 2020?
We're actually going to be debuting a newsletter ad service that we've been kind of toying with for a few years now. So we're going to start it out like the first month or so for free until we get some subscribers, and it's going to go low cost and then kind of get back up to more of a competitive price as we get more subscribers. But we're really excited about doing that. And I actually get to take a vacation and go to a beach this year with my dad. We're going to go to Curie Beach in July, and like we're in a big house and everything. So that's going to be fun. I haven't been on vacation in like 3 years, and I haven't been to the beach since I was pregnant and didn't get to like even enjoy it last time because I was 8 months pregnant and it was hotter than heck. So, and as far as author stuff, I'm hoping to have my time travel story, which I had published in Rogue Skies. I'm going to expand on that and have it published in February or March. And we also have 2 Fiction Atlas anthologies coming up. We're going to have an anti-hero anthology, and we're going to have a vampire anthology. It's going to be a charity anthology in October. So we got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
You're always rocking and rolling, and you've got some people encouraging you, Bobby. They want you to get to a beach.
It's been a good 10 years since I've been to one. I'm well overdue.
All right, how about for you, Mr. Nettles? What's Author Essentials got for us in 2020?
So the Business Essentials for Writers full workshop should be available in 2020. So should the audiobook version of Business Essentials for Writers. We're releasing a new web platform where it's going to be a couple of different tiers, everything from, hey, here's what you need on your author website, which is going to be both a book and a downloadable package to walk you through it, all the way up to we're developing. We've been doing some of that this year for a select number of authors, mostly of whom are people that I know that are like, hey, come take my business. But we're expanding that and doing some more book marketing, expanding that process, and bringing on some more contributors to the newsletter, so that we're expanding all of those contributors to add in a productivity person, some development tools. We're expanding all that newsletter stuff. And then for me, hopefully here, the Krampus novella will be released over Thanksgiving weekend. And then I've got the next in the Longbow novella series should be coming out in February. And after that, I'm hoping book 4 comes out next year in the Home Summoning series, as well as the first book of the new Techno Thriller series.
Very cool. Awesome.
And I'll sleep sometime.
Yeah, please. All right. So thanks to everybody who gave us some great questions here and put forth a great panel, a great discussion, and I really appreciate everybody joining us. And I really appreciate my experts being here and doing what they do and giving all the advice and giving all the information that they have given. I'm going to go around one more time and let them tell you where you can find them, and please do go check them out. And we'll start with Bobby.
For everything, you can pretty much find me at bobbynash.com. For the self-published stuff that I do under Ben Books, that's at ben-books.com. And I'm all over social media. Please stop by and say hi.
Awesome. All right, Courtney?
You can find me on pretty much any social media besides Snapchat. CL Cannon Author. On Instagram, I'm CL_Cannon. And you can find me on Facebook or on my website at fictionatlas.com.
And Anita?
Yeah, well, I'm mostly over on Twitter at Scribe77. And over on Facebook, I have a Facebook page, AF Stewart. And my Facebook group is where I'm most active, AF Stewart's Minions. And I'm currently posting this month strange typos and plot twists as I do NaNoWriMo. So Cheers.
Nice. All right, Jim.
You can get to everything that I do through jamespnettles.com. Since I actually finally got my domain name, that'll link you through to jim-mcdonald.net, which is the fiction me. You can also get there to authoressentials.net and authoressentialsworkshops.com. If you're interested in the business side of being an author, the services and all that fun stuff, the next version of the website should be going up in the next couple of weeks. And then other than that, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a love-hate relationship with Twitter. And you can find both for Author Essentials as well as for me as an author, James P. Nettles.
And of course, I'm Joe Compton, and this is Going to Now. For those of you who've never been here, we'd love for you to stay and check out everything that we're doing. You'd like us, subscribe, comment, do all those wonderful things that you do when you're on a YouTube channel. We really appreciate all of that. We have just a couple programming notes. I usually post an Indie Writer's Block episode today. However, I've been a little under the weather, so that'll go up tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we also have a new Origins episode going up on Saturday. And then, of course, we're going to keep on going. We do 3 or 4 shows a week, so go check us out. And the fall season is rolling along, and we're almost through it. So go make sure I have a playlist on our site. If you haven't checked out anything we've done this fall, all the shows that have been we've posted this fall are in that playlist, and you can view them at your leisure. And thank you so much for joining us. You can find us pretty much everywhere at Go Indie Now. And just remember that it is always time to go indie now. And with that, this town hall is closed. Thanks, everybody.